Welcome to the Once Upon a Sunday Fantasy Football Podcast with your hosts, Josh Kimmel, Dave Campbell, and Justin Bowerly.
Welcome into Once Upon a Sunday Fantasy Football Podcast. This is your host, Josh. With me is Justin Bowerly. No Dirtbag Dave all week. He got a week off, so congratulations. This is the Dynasty portion of this podcast where we speak about the future of your NFL fantasy teams. If you're not in a Dynasty league, please join one. There's plenty of websites. There's plenty of communities. You can even ask us if we have openings in our leagues, because we for sure will. I know for a fact that I have 2 people dropping out of a league I commish. So we always have
one.
people.
So yeah, we've got plenty of people.
Dynasty is a fun format. Once you try it, you will hate it at first, or you'll be confused. But then you will get used to it and the values, and that's why we're here to help.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people joined during the COVID era, and Dynasty has been turned upside down, where we have people that play Dynasty that have no idea what they're talking about, but they're learning. Honestly, and it's a great format, and it's a great way to learn. Most of my fantasy friends came from random dynasties that I joined, and I still talk to these people every day. So it's a great thing to do. Anyway, follow us on X, Twitter, Instagram, TikToks at OUSFF Pod. Follow the network site at Fins Talk Sports Network. Very thankful to be on this network as a Dolphins fan and to get our podcast out there. So thank you so much, Bobby. Much appreciated. Make sure you follow him as well, Bobby Fins Talk Sports as well. Let's get right into the content. We have a lot of running backs to get to. This is the running back show where we have about 7 players to get through. We even have a part 2 coming out next week where we speak about other running backs. We tried to go ahead and separate studs, and we didn't want all show to be all studs, and we didn't want all show to be all scrubs. So I think we separated them, Justin.
Yeah, we did. So if you see a star that we're missing this week, come back next week because they'll be there. It's really unfortunate that we did not include one of the players, both players from last night's game, both running backs on this list. That'll be next week, unfortunately. But
that was poor planning by the producer, but we'll get through. We'll get by. We
need to fire that guy. I'm just saying.
We had an opportunity to put Josh Jacobs on this list and Austin Eckler. But no. But it's okay.
It's fine. It's fine.
Come back for more.
Can we talk about last night's game real quick? 42-0 at half. Ended up 63-21. They both scored 21 in the second half. That's A, ridiculous. And B, go buy Austin Eckler for cheap right now. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, we'll talk about that next week. I do have something to say about last night. I saw Aiden O'Connell. I saw the matchups. I saw the disastrous Josh Jacobs was going to be out. Whatever it may be. I was like, I'm not watching. I took my kids to the Christmas house, which is down the street. We have this nice man who puts up Christmas decorations. Craziness. He stands out front of his house. And I'm not talking like only Thursdays, Friday. Every night for the month of December, he stands out there with a popcorn maker. And all the people from the community go to his house, and we just circle his house. That's what we did instead of watching football. When I got home, I played Lego Fortnite. So I did not watch any of the game. Had no reason to. Who knew 63 points were going to be put up? Who knew? Not me.
By one team, not after getting blanked last week in a 3-0 loss. They put up 63. That's ridiculous.
That's ridiculous. But let's get into the first guy on our list. Who are you going to pop up? I have notes everywhere. Who will be popping up? Derrick Henry, of course. We're starting with the king. Derrick Henry, 29.9 years old, going to be 30, obviously, in the next month or so. He's playing with the Tennessee Titans. He's been there for a very, very long time. He didn't really break out till year 2019. The 3 previous years before that, he was just a backup or somebody who they didn't really get going. And I thought he was a bust. Not going to lie. I was making fun of people. I remember, for example, in one of my Dynasty leagues way back in 2018, somebody traded like a first-round pick and a key piece for Henry, and I just laughed. I made fun of this guy and this guy's still in my league. Bama won. I'm going to call him out for who he is. I laughed at him forever, trashed him. Well, joke's on me, because ever since then, he's been the most dominant running back in the NFL, and I was wrong. We were all wrong, honestly. We didn't see this coming.
Yeah.
there was that stretch where I think Sunday Night Football or a Thursday night game where he ran for 200 yards. That was his first game. And I remember talking with Dirtbag Dave, and we're like, do we need to start Henry? Do we need to put him in our lineups? And then the very next week, he did like 200 something yards again. I'm like,
yep.
I guess we just need to put him in our lineups. And that was the first treat that we got from Derrick Henry. Whoa. We have someone in the chat saying he thought Calvin Johnson was going to be a bust. That's a bad call too. Hey, we all have them. We really do. We all do. But what are your thoughts on Derrick Henry going forward for dynasty purposes before I get into my stuff?
So Derrick Henry, as we know, is going to be 30 years old. He's going to be 30 next season. And the Titans are clearly going a different direction. They could have traded him at the deadline, but it's kind of nice that they didn't, in a way, just get rid of him. He gets to go out on his own terms. He gets to go to the team that he wants to go to, sign the contract that he wants to sign. So I think he's still going to be a productive running back next year, but I think it's going to be to a team that is more in the hunt for the Super Bowl. He's got to get that ring at some point. He's too dominant not to have a ring. It would be really a shame. Do you want me to talk about where I think he...
Of course, yeah.
Okay, so my number one team, we talked, you might have seen this in the chat even. The number one team I have him going to is the Dallas Cowboys. Yes, they have Tony Pollard, but Tony Pollard is also going to be a free agent this offseason. We're actually going to talk about Tony Pollard a little bit later today. Tony has pretty much shown that he cannot be a solo running back. They need another running back on that team, like Zeke Elliott, maybe Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry can be a complete game wrecker on that offense, and that offense is already pretty solid enough. If they add Derrick Henry to this lineup, that's going to just make it better. I see it only being a positive. Another team I could possibly see him going to would be the Los Angeles Chargers, but that's if he wants to go to a team that is like going to have a new coaching staff, a new front office. He has Justin Herbert, he has Keenan Allen, but that's about it. Add Derrick Henry. I think Dallas is the more complete team here that he would want to go to. That could end up needing at least one running back, if not two.
So spots for running backs are difficult. I'm just going to say that up front because they could be dominant, they could be elite, but they don't really value running backs in the NFL. That being said, he's 30 years old. You know, he's not going to get paid the money he probably wants to get paid or deserves to get paid. That's just the nature of the beast. At this age, he's going to sign with the team after the age of 30 years old. We don't see that being very successful for many teams or very many running backs. Look at even Dalvin Cook this year. He's not 30 years old, and he went and signed with the Jets, and he's been a ghost. He's been useless. He's dead. That's just the way it is. What's going on, Riley? Thanks for joining. Hey, Big McD, I see you as well. But I do want to say since 2019, and there's reasons, there's tread on this guy's. I hate when people say there's no tread left on the tires or there's some kind of whatever they say. Look, since 2019, he's had the most carries of any running back in the NFL, and we all knew that. But it's by a lot. He's had 1,463. That's 219 carries per season. It's so low because last year he missed 8 games because he was hurt, and this year is incomplete. So that number will go up the average. In that time frame, he is number one. Josh Jacobs is second with 1,305. So 58 more carries than Josh Jacobs in that time. That's a lot. Zeke is number 3, 1,141. So way more than Zeke. And Dalvin Cook is fourth with, again, 1,100. So he's destroying them. What makes this special? Now, I gave these stats out to a listener earlier today. He's like, yeah, everyone knows that. Everyone knows that. Yeah. But he did it in less games. Josh Jacobs has played 5 more games. Zeke has played 8 more games. Cook has played 3 more games than Derrick Henry. And they're all far behind him in rushing attempts. He is a volume player. He's a volume king. He needs to go to a team that's going to commit to running the ball. Cleveland's perfect. Cleveland has a winning team. Cleveland has a great defense. Cleveland has a quarterback that's really not interested in playing football, it appears. But if he ever gets intact to play football, they just had this major injury to Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb's never going to be the same. It's just a fact of life. It's unfortunate. Why not bring in Derrick Henry? You slow Nick Chubb back in. You have this big, heavy hitter, 2-punch men, like the 2 best running backs in the NFL in their time period. I know it's not going to happen, but he needs to go to a team where they run the ball majority of the time, because we see right now in Tennessee, right now, when they're down, it's Tajay Spears. Tajay Spears is getting 54% of the snaps right now, because they're down so often. Henry's only in positions where he needs to be in, where they're trying to run the ball out or in the red zone. Henry's got the lowest yards per carry in his career since 2017, 4.1 yards per carry. Still good, right? Still good, but it's his lowest. He's definitely on the decline in his career. He's going to struggle to hit that 1,200 yard mark rushing. He's going to struggle to hit 1,000. I don't know where he's at right now personally, but I know he's very low. And it's going to be easy for Tennessee to get rid of him. Like I said, they have Tajay Spears, third round pick out of Tulane. He's 22 and a half years old. He's got 54% of the snap share already. He's eighth in the NFL for running back targets. He's got a 5.7 yards per touch. Is this the Tony Pollard factor where he's just a change-up guy? Is this the Tony Pollard factor where he comes in and he's just a change of pace and the defense isn't really ready for him? If they prepare for him, maybe he will get slowed down. I'm not sure. But I do see him on the field. He's explosive. He's a great talent, which is going to make it so much easier for Tennessee to move on from Derrick Henry. I don't know where he's going to end up, but wherever he does end up, it needs to be a high volume rushing attack with a lot of red zone attempts, a lot of touchdowns, because he doesn't really produce without those touchdowns. He doesn't catch the ball. He has 10 catches on the season right now. That's not going to do it. The reason why he's so effective is because of the touchdowns. Buffalo, people want to see him in Buffalo, probably not going to happen. People want to see him on the Kansas City Chiefs. Again, not going to happen. He wants to go to a contender, possibly, but can these contenders afford him? Or does a scheme fit him? Right? If you put in a square piece to a circle hole, it's not going to fit. That's what Derrick Henry is right now. He needs the volume to be effective. He's not only a guy who can get 12 carries and produce like a DeAndre Swift. It's just not going to happen. So hopefully he can find the right spot. I don't know where, but he's not dead. He's
definitely not dead. Every year I continue to think this is the year Derrick Henry dies. This is the year Derrick Henry falls. And I traded him like 2 years ago in Dynasty. And every year I'm just like, could have got more out of him. Dang.
Could have got more out of him.
And well, not just more out of him on my team, but I could have got more assets out of Derrick Henry because he's still producing at a high level. You're still starting him. I'm starting him. I drafted him in the third round in Scott Fishbowl this year, but in Dynasty, this is much different. He is older. You are right, though. He needs to go to a team that he's going to get the volume. He's going to get the goal line carries. And I think if you get down to the goal line, this is the guy that you put in at this point that vultures the touchdowns from the other running back. I don't see him going to the Chiefs, especially with them having Pacheco really doing well. This is 100% right. I think the Browns could be a good lane-in spot with Nick Chubb. I have them as listed as could add a running back in 2024. But yeah, the Browns, Cowboys, Chargers are the three that I'm probably looking at. It's definitely not going to be the Titans, though.
I'll leave you with this, and we'll move on to the next guy. There's only one guy since 2019 that's averaged 100 yards rushing a game. That's averaged. He averages 100 yards a game on the ground. That's Derrick Henry. No one's even close to that. He has 20 more touchdowns than the next guy. He has 66 touchdowns since 2019. Josh Jacobs, 46. He's just a dominant beast. You can't replace him. First ballot Hall of Famer for sure. And I can't believe I missed on this guy. I cannot believe how much I missed on this guy.
Yeah, for sure.
Next. We're moving on. Oh, we're moving on to this guy?
Yeah, we're gonna go a bum first.
Can we have a funeral?
Yeah, here we go. You ready? Where'd that sound go? Oh no.
No funerals.
And now, a moment of silence.
When I saw that you put him on our list today to talk about, my first question was why? 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 This guy isn't going...
He's 24 years old.
Listen. I understand that. But to come back from one Achilles injury is phenomenal, right? It's groundbreaking. He's 24 years old. Could it happen again? Probably. Is it going to happen again? Probably not. And if it does, who's going to take the risk on this? Who's going to take the risk on someone that is double injured, that's double, just destroyed? Also, he's not a really good team locker guy. He's always been a bad apple. He couldn't make it in Los Angeles for whatever reason you want to say. He just didn't make it. He would have weeks where he gets 1 million touches, then in the doghouse for 4 weeks. I don't know if the risk is worth the reward with this guy, and I don't think he's going to ever play in the NFL again. That's just my thoughts on it. There's way better guys out there that can play in the NFL, that can do what he did. He was nothing special on the field. Yes, people gawed about Cam Akers and the potential, but let's be honest, he was never really a standout player in my eyes. And maybe I might be wrong. Maybe this is the video that blows up and there's 1 million Cam Akers lovers and, oh, Josh is wrong. Look at him in his basement. He doesn't know what he's talking about. I'll say what I say. This guy's dead. He's never going to play in the NFL again. Done. I have nothing else to say.
I'm really glad that we are on the same page here because I have my list of where I think people are going to go. And next to him, I couldn't find one. I wrote free agent, like permanent free agent. And we have somebody next week that we're going to also talk about that I think is in a very similar boat, to be honest with you. But we're not talking about him right now. We're talking about Cam Akers. If I have to pick a spot, because he has to get signed, I'm going to just pick the Browns, actually, because he's not a great locker room guy. Go to that quarterback that also is not a great locker room guy that doesn't really want to play football ever. Throw him on the Browns. Don't care at that point. But I don't think he's ever going to play in the NFL again.
Yeah, dude's done, man. Dude's toast. Move on. Funeral. Good night.
Good.
Anyone in the chat want to pay their respects? Anyone in the chat want to throw out something nice about Cam?
Literally anyone. Nobody.
Going once.
Silent. Okay.
All right, moving on.
Let's talk about this guy. This is the one I actually meant to hit, and then I actually hit Cam Akers.
Okay. I'm glad we got Cam Akers out of the way, though. I really am, because when I saw him on my list today, I'm like,
I don't want to end the show on a negative note, so
throw
him there in the beginning.
All right, Tony Pollard, 26 years old, almost 27. He plays for the Dallas Cowboys, as everyone knows. He's been the backup for Zeke Elliott his entire career, except for this year. A lot of you guys were excited for Tony Pollard. I put out a tweet back in April telling you, and I almost retweeted this tweet before today's show. I put out a tweet back in April saying, I hope you traded Tony Pollard at his peak value because it's only going to go downhill from here. That was back in April. And honestly, his stock has gone down since then. We found out that he's not the explosive player that he was behind Zeke, the whole change of pace aspect of it. But this is not all Tony Pollard's fault. It's not at all. He went on a bad start because this defense was phenomenal. They were scoring pick six after pick six, and by the time it was the second quarter, they didn't need to do anything. Why even put your starters in there? Tony Pollard wasn't getting the opportunities he maybe should have. But that being said, it's his worst yards per carry his entire career, 4.1. It's his worst. He's had his most carries ever. He has 15.1 a game. So his production's up as in like usage, but his production as in, getting the ball down the field and scoring a touchdown is his all-time low. He has the most catches ever in his career, but the lowest receiving yards ever in his career. It's really weird. It's really, really weird. I just don't know what to say about Tony Pollard. 5 total touchdowns this year. And we're not talking about just this year. We're projecting forward, right? We're projecting where he's going to land, maybe where he's going to be, your expectations on your fantasy roster, your dynasty. I told everyone to trade him in the offseason because I knew his value would go down. And I knew that he would be like, where's he going to land next year? Is he really worth his contract? We found out this year, no. Is Dallas going to re-sign him? I think they should. I think they will. Is he going to be worth it? Do they need to find a compliment? I think they do. And that's the problem. So you can go ahead.
So this is where I say Derrick Henry is going to go to the Cowboys to also re-sign Tony Pollard onto the Cowboys. Having Derrick Henry and Tony Pollard, this gets Tony Pollard that other running back that takes that pressure off of him where he can be the second guy even, or the first guy and Derrick Henry is the second guy, but it gives them 2 running backs to give him that Zeke Tony look on that offense because that's when he was the most valuable. Now it's just Tony Pollard back there. There's nobody else really that's affecting the game as much as Tony Pollard would if he was better. So that's where I think Derrick Henry goes to the Cowboys to help Tony Pollard on the Cowboys. Now, if that doesn't happen and the Cowboys decide we're going in a completely different direction where Tony Pollard's not coming back, I think he still needs to go to a team that has another proven back. Does that mean the Chiefs with Pacheco? Does it become Pacheco and Pollard, the PP club? Does he go to the New York Jets maybe and get paired up with Breece Hall?
Stop.
No, you don't like that?
No. 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 I want Brees to be a bell cow back by himself. That's what I want.
Well, I mean, Breece also has those injuries too. So do you want to continue risking more injuries to Breece Hall, or do you want to have them be more fresh? I think he does need to go to a team that has another proven back, though.
So according to Sports Track, the Dallas Cowboys salary cap next season is projected to be negative
Ooh.
$13.5 million. So it's going to be hard to get Derrick Henry
Well,
and Tony Pollard signed.
Teams
But I know-
always start with negative, and they somehow end up with $40 million on their available. So
I understand that. I definitely understand that. I could see a situation where Arizona could go out there and splurge. You know, they don't want to run out James Conner again. And the guys that we saw back there, Ingram, and the remainder of that running back room wasn't really special. They wanted to do something special. They're building with Trey McBride and they're building with Kyler Murray. Hopefully they keep Kyler. Then they have that top pick. Maybe they can take a Marvin Harrison Jr. or someone like that and pair him with a Tony Pollard on that team. That really gives them some balance. I would love to see Tony Pollard to go over there in Arizona and make some noise, be the bell cow back. And you also have James Conner there who still can have that, you know, change of pace, Derrick Henry's type, Zeke type role where you have both at the same time. And then you have they have a lot of cap space. Let's be honest here. And then they have a high powered offense with McBride and with Hollywood Brown and with Kyler. If they all get on track, I'm not saying they will, but that's a good, I would love to see Tony Pollard in that situation. We all were excited. Not all. Most of you guys were excited for Tony Pollard to get this opportunity. Most of you. And it was okay. He's had his ups and downs. But I find it funny, and I find it very, very funny, and I'm trolling most of my friends that love Tony Pollard, that Zeke Elliott's first start last week had a better fantasy game than Tony Pollard's had all season. It's just ironic how the world works.
it is
I'm not saying this guy's a bum. I'm really not. This guy's really good. He's really good at football.
on a worse team too. Like not even a good team.
It's just the situation they're in where Dak is balling out, tossing the ball around to CeeDee Lamb and Michael Gallup and Brandon Cooks and Ferguson. This is a pass first team. It really is. Ever since they got rid of Zeke, their whole dynamic has changed. And it's not on Tony Pollard. That's on coaching. That's on scheme. And Pollard's been respectable there. He's not been a total bum. He's not been a total bum like Josh Jacobs some games. You know, he's never had the bad games like that. But he did have a stretch where he was scoring single-digit points. Tony Pollard, 27 years old, probably his last contract. Dynasty purposes, and I'm just talking to all you people that roster him still. If you can, trade him this offseason. Trade him now. You don't want a running back, not only on a second contract, but his third. Now, I know this is not as technically a second, right? But his other contract where he gets renewed, you don't want him. You really don't. You want to try to get rid of those guys and get a younger running back. So try to sell him to a win now team that still believes in him in the offseason, because your trade deadline should be up. And people are arguing right now on Twitter, what's a trade deadline in Dynasty? I'll explain. Playoff teams, top 6 right now, cannot trade with bottom teams. But when you're eliminated, you can start trading again. That's how I run my leagues. That's how every league should be ran. The first place team should not be cherry picking off with the bottom teams. That's kind of unfair. But you run your leagues how you may. But Tony Pollard for me is a sell, sell, sell. I wouldn't be buying, especially if I'm a rebuild. Especially. Everyone's in agreement?
I agree with you. We have some breaking news if you want to talk about that. Let me just throw that up here real quick. Following the game last night, it looks like, if I can get that up here, Brandon Staley is fired after giving up 63 points last night, 42 points loss.
Well, it's about time.
So he's out.
Honestly, it's about time. We all saw this coming. Major changes coming in Los Angeles, which probably are really good changes. I mean, I feel like they're wasting Justin Herbert's talent. I feel like they're wasting Keenan Allen's twilight of his career. I believe that team should be way better than they are. It's unfortunate they're stuck in the same division as Kansas City. It's unfortunate. Trust me, as a Dolphins fan, being stuck in the same division as Buffalo and New England, I know how unfair it is. Maybe they can get a true player. Maybe Belichick goes over there. Maybe we see Big Bill over there. Fired from the Patriots, going over to the Chargers, enjoying some nice weather, sipping cocktails on the beach. You know, hell, he can make Justin Herbert one of the greatest of all time. Who knows? I'm really excited for that if that happens.
Yeah. All right, next guy. Let's see. Do you want a good one or a?
You know what? Just dealer's choice. Dealer's choice. There we go. We went to your guy.
Zack Moss.
26 years old, will be 26 years old. You're the Colts fan. Talk about him.
Well, I mean, what more is to say about Zack Moss? He's doing a great job this year after not doing great on the Buffalo Bills or even last year. Last year, he was not fantastic. He was traded for Nyheim Hines, came to the Colts. He had one more year left on his contract after that year. But this year, without Jonathan Taylor, he missed week 1, and within the first 5 weeks of the season, he was the number 2 leading rusher in the NFL after missing 1 game. Jonathan Taylor came back, and his production didn't go immediately down. He still had 3 more good weeks, and now Jonathan Taylor's out. He's doing okay. He's almost at 1,000 yards this season, 6 total touchdowns. Currently, he would be RB23 for fantasy points per game, which makes him a starting running back, an RB2 on most of your lineups as a backup running back in the NFL. That's pretty solid. Again, he's still young. We don't like running backs on their second contract, but he's still relatively young, 26 years old. I can't say that that's old. Both of us can't say that's old. I mean, we're old. He's not. I think if I'm looking at him, I think Indianapolis brings him back. They don't do this often. They've in recent history have only brought 2 running backs back from the rookie contract. They've signed them to 2 extensions. That was Joseph Adai and Jonathan Taylor.
I'm with you. I scoured the teams, the needs, and I don't see him fitting anywhere else but Indianapolis. He's been a freaking beam of hope for that team. And all you Jonathan Taylor managers out there were pretty upset that Moss came out and did amazing after sucking so bad. But I do want to say this. He was in Buffalo. Buffalo gets this rap of like, oh, we need him to go there. We need this person to go there. Once they're in Buffalo, they're going to ball out. You know, Leonard Fournette's go. As soon as Leonard Fournette signed with Buffalo, I traded him away for whatever I could because I knew he'd be ineffective because any running back that goes to Buffalo is totally ineffective. Why? Usage. Why?
He hasn't even gone off the practice squad. So like,
well, I mean, this Fournette he's an example because he's super old. But let's bring up the other guys. Devin Singletary, very wasted there. He had a good yards per carry in Buffalo. He had a lot of opportunities, but when it came down to the red zone, the goal line where you make your money scoring touchdowns, it's the Josh Allen show. It's always going to be Josh Allen until Josh Allen is gone. It's just the way it is. So Zack Moss had a really, I wouldn't say great career in Buffalo. Obviously, he was really, really like unused. He only averaged 39.9 yards per game on the ground, but his career average is 4.3 in that time. He did have some good years where his average was like 5.1. But the point is, when you're not being used, you really can't have a great career. He gets to Indianapolis where he can have a good career, and he's been balling out. He had, what do you have? He had 1,282 rushing yards in his entire 3-year career with Buffalo. If Taylor didn't come back, if it was a season where Taylor just never came back, Moss would have broke that easily. He's on pace to break it. No, he's not on pace to break it. I did the math, but he could break it. He's on pace. I think he's averaging 66 rushing yards a game, which is around 1,100 or a little under 1,100 yards. That's freaking great for a guy that nobody expected. I remember listening to a very, very, very high, top of the charts national podcast, top of the charts. As in, I'm not going to name their names, but they are number one, and they've been number one for a very long time. And a guy who I love, respect, think the world of him, won him in his free agent waiver wire in week 2 and complained about it. This is the worst. I don't want to start Zack Moss. Zack Moss is awful. Zack Moss saved his team, saved your team, saved everyone's team, saved my team. Zack Moss will probably end up back in Indy because he is so good there. I would like to see what he can do. I don't really see a market out there for him. You look at his age range and the running backs that did sign contracts in his age range. It's 2 years, $6 million, 2 years, $9 million. That's what I'm looking like with Zack Moss. Maybe he signs that 2 years, $10 million, but that second year they can get out, opt out of it. That's what we're looking at with Zack Moss because he's nothing special, but he is a contributing player.
I agree. I agree.
Don't look at him as a starter next year. Look at him as a contributor to a football team, but he's not going to be a starter. He didn't do enough to become a starter.
Continue looking at him like you should have looked at him this year. He's the backup for whatever running back you have. So if you have his starter, you might get him too, especially if that starter has injury issues.
We've got 2 more left.
2 more left. Let's go with another one of my guys.
Oh, God, these guys.
Gus Edwards, about to be 29 years old here by the next season. 13 games, 363 snaps. You see all the stats on the board. He's RB 33 for points per game with 11.2. He's had some really great weeks, and then the Ravens just don't use him. And then he has good weeks again.
Can I stop you?
Just don't use him.
Can I stop you?
Go ahead.
Can I stop you? Okay. The definition. If you look up touchdown dependent in the dictionary, this beautiful face down here, this beautiful man. He's a very attractive man. He will pop up because that's what he is. He's touchdown dependent. From week 7 to 11 this season, he scored 9 total touchdowns, where he was the running back 2 in that time period. Only Jahmyr Gibbs was higher. He had 19.8 points per game that's in that stretch, by the way, where Gibbs was a little bit better. In weeks 1 through 6, he was the running back 36 because you know what? Because he only scored 1 touchdown at that time. His usage was completely the same. Everything was the same. Yardage was the same. He did have spike weeks up and down. That happens with Gus Edwards. He's not a fantasy relevant player week to week, and you can't count on him. And his age is 29 years old. He's not going to demand a huge market out there for anyone. You don't see the GM of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Jason, like, oh, you see this Gus Edwards guy? He's really going to move the needle. He's really going to get us 5.1 yards per carry, but we're only going to give him 8 carries, and he's just going to be that no-nonsense runner that just runs straight. There's not really a market for that unless you're Derrick Henry or Nick Chubb. And Nick Chubb and Derrick Henry, they don't just run straight. They punish. Whereas Gus Edwards, what I mean punish is stiff arm, angry runs, lower their shoulder. Gus Edwards is an angry runner as well, just in a different way. He takes the ball from Lamar. He runs off tackle. He doesn't run off tackle. He runs through the holes. He runs through those little gaps. He'll see a linebacker, put his head down, and fall for 5 yards. Great for the Baltimore Ravens. Not so great for the Buccaneers. Not so great for the New York Giants. Not so great for other teams because they don't have the same scheme. They don't have Lamar back there running the read option where he can hand it to Gus and run for 5 yards, or Lamar can opt to take it, where the linebackers have to read that and analyze it and see what's going to happen. I think Gus Edwards is a very good player, and I do love Gus Edwards. And I do think he's one of the greatest players that we can watch because I just love. He's no nonsense, none of this bull crap. But will he work without a Lamar? I don't know. And I don't think so. Is he going to be a natural? Because the most of his snaps come out of the shotgun position where Lamar gets the ball and just does this. Is he going to be able to work out in the I formation, single back, split? I don't think he will. And he's not, not saying that he can't, but he won't be as successful. And his successful is only 700 yards a season with about 5 touchdowns. That's not, and no catches, nothing out of the backfield. He has catches. I'm not going to exaggerate, but very limited in catches in the pass game. Not that he's dead. He'll be a contributor, but I have never said I'm starting Gus Edwards this week unless I absolutely had to. I'm sorry. I can't count on touchdowns, buddy. I'm not that guy. I know you are. You were all over him. Fine, you could have him. I wish I can get rid of my Gus Edwards shares just because of the fact that I don't ever have the, 20 carries for 50 yards doesn't sound great, right? 20 carries. He doesn't get that much. 12 carries for 50 yards. But if he scores that touchdown, baby, we're good. That's if. And it doesn't happen a lot.
He's done great for me in the weeks that I have had to start him. But I would agree with you. He's not a dynasty star that I'm going to want to continue to have. Best ball, great. Redraft, okay. As far as where he goes next year, I don't think he remains on the Ravens. I think they go with a completely different running back room. Keaton Mitchell has somehow taken over this running back room from Gus Edwards again. J.K. Dobbins will not be there next year. We'll talk about him next week. I think it's going to be Keaton Mitchell and some other running back. Maybe it's Derrick Henry. We don't know. but I think Gus Edwards ends up somewhere else next year. As far as where,
Hold on, I got you. I got you. Don't worry, I got you. The most mid running back spot of all time, Chicago Bears. They just signed bum-ass Deontay Foreman this offseason. They have Roshan Johnson, who's a nobody. Khalil Herbert, can't stay on the field. That's a team that looks like they always get these no-nonsense running guys that are not special at all. That's the spot. I bet you he signs with Chicago. And hey,
I mean that makes
maybe
sense.
him and
They got
Fields.
Deontay Foreman has the exact same thing. Like
Maybe him and
he just goes
Fields.
out there and performs.
Yeah, maybe him and Fields can do the same thing Lamar does. Who knows? I'm joking. Obviously, I don't know where this guy signs. He's 20. He's going to be 29 years old.
Is that your
And
comment about saying Justin Fields will be the starter for the Chicago Bears next year, and not Caleb Williams?
I have a theory. Not very popular. Hello, come here now. Beach
On
89.
Twitch. You're on Twitch.
Yep, you can follow us on Twitch too. I didn't know that. Anyway, so I will say this. And I've said this on record. I think the reason why the Bears didn't trade Justin Fields last year because nobody wanted him, and they tried to move him, but nobody wanted him because they were asking for too much. I think they're gonna have to lower the price if they want to move him. I'll say that.
I'm going to go on the record saying that Justin Fields won't get moved next year.
I think that they're gonna move him because but they're gonna have to take a discount of what they really want. They're gonna have to look at it and go, "Wow, we want this and this and this and this," but really he's not worth this, and this and this, and he's just not that guy that they thought they were gonna get. But I do think they tried to move him last year. I really do. It's just they couldn't find a suitor. Nobody wanted to pay the price. I have no sources. I have no inside information. I'm just looking at it the way I look at it. And
so Gus Edwards here. Chicago would be a good option, no matter who the quarterback is, I think. Just because add him into the room. But again, he's not going to be dynasty relevant. Maybe best ball if you play best ball and have him. He's great in best ball because you don't have to worry about it. If we're picking another team, I would say Houston. Same situation. They have a plethora of running backs in there. They got a young, high-power offense that maybe Gus Edwards is a different pace for them.
Just to make Detroit, Jahmyr Gibbs owners tilt. Why not Detroit? Why not Detroit? How much fun would that be? Jahmyr Gibbs get him down the field. Dave Montgomery's doing his thing, and all of a sudden we see first and goal. Gus Edwards, boom. Dan Campbell's over there. Yeah, that's my guy. Yeah, biting kneecaps. Yeah. How much fun would that be?
Have 3 running backs.
That'd be
I
great.
agree with Ronald McDonald here. I don't usually agree with him, but they won't have to move Justin Fields because they can just draft Marvin Harrison Jr.
Oh yeah,
Agreed.
Yeah.
100%
As long as he's 20 yards wide open, they'll hit him. Yeah, as long as he's 20 yards or 15 yards wide open, Fields can hit him.
Well, defenses are going to have to cover Marvin Harrison Jr. and DJ Moore, which will be in the screen, which will leave another guy up in the top for Marvin Harrison Jr.
Teams don't already have to cover Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill or T. Higgins.
And that's a good offense.
Jamar Chase.
That's a good offense.
Don't just act like it's a huge thing to cover DJ Moore and Marvin Harrison.
But they're still good offenses. That's what I'm saying is that now you have 2 elite wide receivers. Justin Fields can be on a good offense. That's all I'm saying.
Hey, Ronald McDonald. I see your comment. Fields is better than that, Joshua. Yeah, he may be. He's better than Baker Mayfield in accuracy. I'll tell you that. I'm just saying. So you're right. He is. You know what? Justin Fields is him.
I told you.
Bust him, Fields. That's his new name.
If he didn't get hurt this year.
Yeah, if he didn't get hurt this year.
My thing would have been right. He's QB7 and he didn't even play 4.5 games.
Who's the last guy?
Could have been QB1. Anyways, last guy. Saquon Barkley, 26.8 years old.
26.8 years old. I like that. You could have said 26 and a half, 26, a little closer to 27.
I went with Spot Track.
All right. So anyway, we have him signed to a 1-year contract this year, 1 year, $10.09 million. He will be an unrestricted free agent again. They decided to pay Daniel Jones instead.
That was a mistake.
Hey, that's what the Giants do. That's what New York teams do. His rookie season, by the way, he had 91 receptions. Hasn't sniffed it since. 57 was his second career best. That's been a very long time as well. I feel like Saquon's rookie season, we were all just fooled oh, he's going to be the next guy who catches 90, 100 balls a year. When in fact, it's not the case. He's been injured the majority of his career, injury riddled on a very bad offense with Daniel Jones the most of his time. I said this in my group chat with my close friends that has a Giants fan in it. And I truly believe Kenny Golladay single-handedly sunk that offense, sunk that team. He just destroyed any kind of, like, instead of signing Kenny Golladay, they could use that money to improve the team. And instead, he's been such a disaster. And I thought about this while I was doing laundry a couple days ago. Is Kenny Golladay still alive? 1. 2, is he still signed to a team, the Giants? Is he, or did they release him? 3, is he still collecting a paycheck? Because these are all things I don't know. Can we get a check on that? Can we Ronald McDonald in the chat? Do you know this? Do we know what's going on with Kenny Golladay?
I don't think he's on a team right now.
Did they finally cut him? And if they did, I missed this.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, he's been a free agent for a while. He worked out with the Jets 3 months ago. He hasn't been on the team since the end of last year.
Man, like, can we all agree that he single-handedly sunk the Giants for at least 3 years?
That's
and
right.
They haven't been able to recover since? And this isn't about it's about Saquon Barkley. Saquon has been amazing despite the fact. Actually, I've been a Saquon hater since the day he's come out, just because I feel I have. But this year I turned around. I bought him in Dynasty in my contender teams. I bought him from you, I believe, in a Dynasty team where I'm contending. I bought him in mini leagues this year because I did believe with Daniel Jones and him, I believe they could do something. And he started out awesome. And he's been awesome all year. He's going to be 27 years old to his next contract. Does he want to move on from New York? Can New York even afford him? I truly believe wherever he goes, he's going to be an asset. I don't think he's going to be like a Dalvin Cook who just dies, because he can do so much in the pass game, explosive run rate. The guy is just a monster, still one of the best running backs in the NFL. It's just sad to see him on the worst offense almost in the NFL. I mean, I know you're itching to talk about teams you want him to go to, so go ahead and do that right now.
I actually don't have a lot. I think the Giants somehow find a way to move on from Daniel Jones this offseason, though. I don't know how they're going to do it, but I think they are. They're going to go back and say, shoot, we should have signed Saquon. I think Saquon stays in New York. I think they run it with Tommy DeVito and Saquon Barkley.
Stop.
I'm going to say the Giants. I'm going to go out on a limb, say the Giants. If I had to pick not the Giants, maybe he says, screw you, Giants, and he goes to the Cowboys. But I don't see that being a thing.
So you're a Tommy DeVito guy. We need to talk about
No,
that.
I'm not. But New York loves him. That's the thing. So New York absolutely loves him. Maybe he just becomes a Tommy. Maybe it's Tommy DeVito's team from here. He's 3-1 as a starter. He lost his first game. He's been on a 3-game winning streak.
He played Washington, New England, Green Bay.
He also played Dallas, which he lost to.
Yeah, okay. I'm just giving you his 3 wins.
Yeah, Washington.
Yes, Washington.
He beat Green Bay.
He beat Green Bay. He beat
Came
Green
back.
Bay.
They
beat Green Bay.
They were about to lose, and then Tommy DeVito went right down the field and scored.
Look, I'll say this. I don't understand the love for Tommy DeVito. I know it's fun to do. Hey, it's fun. Yeah, hey, give me the bagels, right? It's fun. It really is. But let's be realistic here. The guy's not winning games. Gardner Minshew had a way better rookie season coming in for whoever he came in for in Jacksonville.
I didn't say the Giants were smart. I'm just saying. I mean, they signed Daniel Jones to a massive contract, and he played 2 games this season.
There's no way. There's no way Tommy DeVito is a starting quarterback in 2024.
Anyway, this isn't about Tommy DeVito. This is about Saquon Barkley. If I have to pick another team,
hey, you know what?
Giants,
you know what? If the Giants front office staff is also going, hey, maybe they will make him the starter, but I don't think that's
maybe.
the case. Jones,
if I'm picking another team next to the Giants for Saquon, maybe the Vikings. The Vikings would be fun with Saquon Barkley.
Vikings would be fun.
He's not here. He can't confirm or deny that, though. So
I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are looking for a running back. They have some cap room. They have $47 in cap space. Again, Arizona. I think Arizona is lacking in the running back room. James Conner is not getting younger. Here's a team I want everyone to look out for. Not saying it's going to happen. How much fun would it be? You have C.J. Stroud in the shotgun. You have Tank Dell. You have Nico Collins. You have Noah Brown. You have Dalton Schultz. And then you have Saquon Barkley back there.
No.
complemented with Devin Singletary and Dameon Pierce,
No.
what an offense it would be.
No.
They have the money to do it.
No.
They're an up-and-coming team in a very bad division.
No.
Why not? Who says no?
I hate it. Me.
That would be awesome.
I hate it.
I'm going to say this would be awesome. That's
And
where I'm looking for.
The amount I hate that is probably means it's a really good idea. So I hate it.
Amazing idea.
I hate it.
Saquon in Houston. Let's get the campaign going. Let's get it. Houston, if you're listening, GM over there, why not? You have nothing else to lose. You have a quarterback on his rookie contract who's honestly one of the best quarterbacks in the league this year. Why not go out and get this man some weapons? Don't do the same thing that Green Bay did with Aaron Rodgers' entire career. That's not surrounded with mediocrity. Don't just give him one great player like a Devontae Adams. Let's surround this man with multiple great players on his rookie deal. Let's win some Super Bowls. Let's do it, man. Saquon Barkley to Houston. Call it now. Clip it. Your face looks so mad.
I'm so upset with you right now.
I will say this, in 2023, he's only averaging 30.1 receptions per game. That's where I was getting to originally, but I did go on my tangent. You don't have to put the graph back up. That's the last thing I'm going to say about this because I do got to get back to real life work because, I'm in my mother's basement right now.
Yeah.
I'm just doing this. I'm trying to get famous on YouTube.
Ronald, about Dalvin Cook, come back next week. We're going to talk about Dalvin Cook next week. Down with the Tide. He said Ravens versus Cowboys in the Super Bowl with the Cowboys blowing them out 42-10. And yes, I am a Colts fan.
Oh, we're doing Super Bowl predictions. Can I do a Super Bowl prediction?
Yeah.
All right, I got Chiefs and I got 49ers. And I think the Chiefs win. Let's go. I'm a Patrick Mahomes mark.
I don't think the Chiefs get out of the divisional round this year.
I don't think Lamar can produce in the playoffs. I don't think Tua
think so either.
I don't think Tua can. I don't think Buffalo makes it. And therefore, the most alpha quarterback left is Mahomes, and he will clutch up in the playoffs. Sorry.
I get, yeah, that's fair.
I
was trying to do a mock draft earlier, and I was trying to adjust it to where I think they were going to end up, and I was like, I can't see Lamar actually getting it done. I don't think the Dolphins are going to get it done, and I was like, Jaguars aren't going to get it done. By default, you have the Chiefs.
It's Kansas City by default. Yeah. Now they may get upset.
However, it might be the 49ers versus Gardner Minshew. So I mean, just
that'd be fun. I'm down for that. Play the music, man.
Oh, God.
That'd be fun. Gardner Minshew in the play. Oh my gosh, that'd be awesome. Taylor Swift halftime show. I don't think that's happening. I think that
it is not Taylor Swift. It's
who's the halftime show?
Oh God.
No one knows. He's gonna look it up. We're gonna run out of time before he finds out. But I just want to let you know
it's Usher.
It's Usher. 1999 call. They want their artist back. But make sure you follow us everywhere: X, Instagram, Twitter, whatever, Snapchat, OUSFF Pod. Make sure you tune in next week. We'll be talking about running backs part 2. We have some bangers for you. Make sure you join our Discord. Make sure you watch us noon on Tuesdays, Wednesday nights. Man, it's a lot to say, a lot to plug. I'm on here way too often, Justin. Get us out of here.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to like and subscribe wherever you watch or listen to podcasts. Follow on X and Instagram at OUSFFPOD. We'll be back next week for more ways to win your league.